Hi, my name is Smoolana, and you're watching the Analogue Culture.
Oh, cool. Hello, Putti.
Eta,
How you doing?
I'm good in yourself, bro.
It's been a minute since we were supposed to do this.
Yeah, no, I know. It's been a minute. Time has caught up.
Yeah.
With the both of us, but everything has its time, and I think, yeah, glad it's finally happening.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a very great pleasure to have you on the show. I've been looking to talk to you because I think at Cape Town you've been doing a bunch of great stuff, and more so is the marketing that you guys do. Like, it catches my eye every single time. Like, it's always on point, and I think it brings a lot of awareness to what you guys are doing. Yeah, man. Generally, I start with people's upbringing so as I can understand the full force of how we got to be sitting right here.
Yeah.
Who Smoolana is from?
So, born in the Eastern Cape. I like to say Eastern Cape because I'm from many places in the Eastern Cape, like how we know family likes to be spread out.
Yeah.
But by birthright, I'm born in East London. Grew up in a small town called the Alice, where the University of Forte is placed.
Yeah.
My mom was a lecturer there, so I was like a campus kid.
Yeah.
Then obviously the homestead is in King Williamstown. That's where the ancestors and the Abanabadala are at. When I say I'm going home,
Yeah.
I'm going to King Williamstown. So that's the birthplace.
Is it? Eastern Cape is very much known for Abachitabapaya, for rugby. How come you never ended up in rugby?
I mean, I tried. I had the body, but not so much the passion. I think it was more of a social sport for me, just to play with Amazita.
Yeah.
But I never took it seriously. I think sport was always kind of, I don't know, third on my priority list.
Yeah.
I always knew creative things were more my passion. Academics, obviously, because in Lini, mom was strict at school.
Yeah.
And then sport was kind of just like a social thing with the gents, kicking soccer, balls around.
Yeah.
But I had my short stint, not very high level, when I moved to Cape Town in rugby. It was very short lived, but did play a few games.
Yeah. Let's touch on the creative stint in the Eastern Cape. Music-wise, for you to end up being such a big consumer of music and a player and a lover of music, what influenced that in the Eastern Cape?
So this is actually quite a crazy occurrence because I grew up in university, so always around older people, in the sense that our parents were lecturers, but compared to the amount of students there were on campus, there was a lot more students than there were older people. So the exposure started around Ibash. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with the term Ibash.
Yeah.
Forte was very popular for throwing some of those, really good ones. Had people traveling from other universities, other parts of the Eastern Cape region.
Yeah.
And I befriended this guy with the same age, and his brother was the campus DJ.
Nice.
He used to make us carry the crates to the bash, help set up his sound. I guess that's when the seed kind of planted in me. I wasn't aware at the time.
Yeah.
I did not take action on it at the time as well to say, teach me. I was just fascinated by like the aura of this guy who just rocks up with his crates and the sound system, and then like the vibe kicks off.
Yeah.
So I think that's when the seed was planted.
Yeah.
Because I know the Eastern Cape is not really like a music, heavy province. We have musicians, but it's not. Yeah, the focus there is not that. So it was very interesting that that experience, just him. To him, I thought he probably thought he was just bullying some young boys
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
help him carry his stuff. But for me, it was like, this is really
Exposure.
cool. And then the second part was, I used to love washing the cars at home, only for one reason, because I go through the CDs in the car. So every time the malume pulls up in his Audi, then I'll be like, oh, let me wash the car for you.
Yeah.
But the main actually reason was while I'm washing the car, I'm going through, that pouch with the CDs or the tapes or whatever.
Yeah. No radio played an influence in that aspect.
Radio at home was very gospel.
Okay.
Very, very Christian family that I come from. So most of the time it was either gospel
Yeah.
that was playing on the radio, or if you're lucky, like a Ringo Majingo or so, like some of the local favorites.
Yeah.
But not so much. Mhlobo Wenene was like the only station I knew, in fact, because it was all that played at home.
Yeah.
I mean, Mhlobo's a very well-known station nationwide, but I think it's more of a conversation station
Yeah.
than musically driven. So yeah, I would say it was mostly like the actual physical music that was available around me through family. Yeah,
And in the cars.
in the car.
You never felt, out of curiosity, what CDs did you find in the cars that you remember?
So my cousins were very R&B, uncles were very jazzy.
Yeah.
So I know if I go into my uncle's car, I'm definitely gonna find like a Cafe Semenya type vibe, or like a Huma Sekela. If I go into my cousin's car, I know back in the times, it's not someone we talk about much now, like but R. Kelly,
Yeah.
or like your Brandy and those vibes. So cousins were into those, and then mom and the aunts were like gospel. So your Joy Celebration, some of the more churchy sounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what you'd find most of the time.
Yeah. Just to sidetrack, if you hadn't raised it, I wouldn't ask it. What's your take on R. Kelly in terms of everybody cancelling him and saying, we no longer listen to your music, or we no longer subscribe to that?
I mean, I completely understand cancel culture, and I also understand the mammoth of, what the man did.
Yeah.
But for me, I always was into the artist rather than the actual, person themselves. I know you can't separate them. But yeah, it's unfortunate because I grew up with his music around weddings. Everyone knows the step song. So yeah, I don't really talk about it too much, because I also don't want to blur lines and
some people that you support.
Yeah, so I made peace with the fact that I'll never play R. Kelly in a set.
Yeah.
And I'll also not be playing R. Kelly around people that obviously might get offended by that.
But his music is so good.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Not that we support him, but the artistry in his music is dope. Now, let's jump to 2006.
Yeah.
You moved down to Cape Town. Are you in the DJ industry or in the music industry yet? Are you playing?
Yeah.
Are you collecting? Wait, before I jump to that, the guy that used to make you carry crates and move around and set up, he was playing on vinyl, right?
Yes, 100% on vinyl.
That bug never bit you then?
No.
No.
And I wish it did, because I feel like I could have, put more experience, on myself. Maybe I could have, I don't know, discovered a lot more things earlier.
Yeah.
I think I was just too scared to approach. Like, I'm one of those people who I always say I don't like to misuse my influence in a way where I could have just been that annoying boy, and he could have maybe even taken the chance to. I've tried to find this guy, can't find him, because I've always wanted to just like let him know.
Yeah. What's his name?
He used to go by the name of DJ Sim. That's the only thing I remember. I think when they left Forte, their family moved to Grahamstown.
Yeah.
That's all about I know. Like, that's about all I know. I've tried LinkedIn, I've tried Facebook, just to kind of see, like, and maybe engage also.
Yeah.
yeah, but so the bug never bit me then. 2006, I think 2006 my main focus was to find myself because I'd moved from a small town to this big city. I think Cape Town was the first city place where I've lived. It was only a small town. So, high school also being a challenge that I had to overcome.
Yeah.
My main focus then was to just like find myself, find what I was interested in. Also try different things. Like I tried the sport thing.
Yeah.
I tried the music side as well. But I think it was a little bit too late for me. And then, so classical music by when I say music. And then, I kind of just got into like that boys' school rhythm where things are either about like the rugby or, and then I just got through that 5 years of high school very quickly. And I think when the bug bit me was in one of those career days,
Yeah.
where they invite all the schools. So you had all the schools you can think about in the country were there, all the universities, sorry. And there was this college, and all they had in the prospectus in the front cover was like turntables and like this guy like kind of posing. And I was like, I don't even know what the course is about, but I want to go there. Yeah. So that was literally that moment. I was like, this is actually what I want to do. So I took all the prospectuses from the prestigious universities and the application forms, obviously to also achieve my mom's KPI because she was thinking engineer or, sat down, filled in all those forms with her, obviously because she had to sign her portions. And then I said, there's also this one that I want to submit. And then she was like, it's a college, it's a diploma, do you want to do this? Are you sure you don't want a degree from UCT? And I was like, no, like I'm gonna put these in.
Yeah.
This is ultimately what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then she just looked at me in the eye and she said, then don't even bother with the other ones, let's just focus on this one.
That's dope.
So that was kind of like the beginning of the music journey for me. Then little did I know that there's absolutely no course in DJing that they do. At that time, I think the art DJ courses now.
Yeah.
But that time there weren't any. It was purely music production.
Yeah.
And sound technology. So which translates now to like your more tech side of sound. So I was very disappointed, but that's where I met kind of the people that honed me, mentored me, taught me how to play. Just saw the potential in me as well. So I guess I took the longer route to get.
I just want to say, sorry to cut you there. Shout out to your moms, man, for that, because a lot of the dudes I've spoken to that have had the opportunity to say, this is what I want to do, and a choice between going to academia and studying something that puts you in boring professions.
Yes.
She advocated for what you wanted, knowing very well that you would stick to it.
100%. And I mean, I'm grateful. There's a lot of kids, my age, also my skin tone, that come from background families that we come from, that get that opportunity, because sometimes for the mom it's like, you are an investment, I need to get my investment back. I guess it's doctors probably the most solid way, or accountant or engineers most solid way to get there. But we chose the harder route, and my mom just believed in me, and she said, cool, as long as you're gonna put in your best effort.
Here you are studying sound technology. Literally, most of your profiles actually say that you're sound engineer, mixer. So you literally do that on.
I didn't follow it fully professionally. I went into more the live side. So the industry is typically divided into like 4 sections. So you have the music production, and then you have radio, then you have post, which is like you guys in film, and then you have the live. So live is like kind of like on the ground, on the show, your festivals, your bands, everything is happening right now. Sound check, all of that. So I went into that industry because I felt like music production, because you're working usually most of the time with upcoming artists, it was very hard to monetize. It was very hard to also find studios. Studios either preferred this one engineer, or like the guy wouldn't let anyone else touch his gear. Whereas live sound, because it was more of a team sport, or like, let me rather say, like a team effort, it was easier for me to to learn things, and like to start also practically practicing what I learned. So I moved away from music production. Straight out of college, I went straight into live. I got a job. I think I was still a student when I got the job. And then I just stayed with the company for like 5 years. That's when I really got to understand, like, the live sound side of things. Spent a lot of my time with audio. But in that time, I also went into a little bit of lighting, like nothing professional, very basic. Went into a little bit of AV, which is kind of like a projector stuff, and LED screens. And just generally that life, I think, was probably better for me, because eventually I ended in the event space. So it made it, I think, more practical to then marry the two, bring my my expertise from being a technician. So now in my team, I'm the go-to guy for, what stage are we building, what system are we going for, which DJ gear should we put up on the DJ booth, etc., all of that stuff. So that's kind of like where it netted out. Music for me, because I couldn't, or I think I was just scared to produce. No, not scared, but like, there were a lot of guys who could just make a track now, and for me, the process was much longer, and it needed the time, it needed the 15,000 hours. I feel like, just like an instrument. So I felt like, this is too difficult for me, so let me rather focus on something that I can do, which is the sound engineering side of things. So I was the guy who puts the mics up, and then my friends would come with the guitars, and the one guy's playing the drums, or this one's got the MPC, and then we just like, all
put it together.
We sample records, and then I would cut the things up and chop them up into little things. So
so literally, exactly what is needed for a number one track. Basically how it should be done. Everybody, did you just hear that? Find Smoolana on social media for all your audio mixing and mastering. Here's the guy. In the aspect of you getting into the mixing side of things, when it came to jumping into the DJing side, how did those two just blend together?
So there was this guy who was in our class. He passed on a couple of years ago. I think, like, when I look back, just to the amount of impact he had on all of us as a group of guys. Basically, orientation day, listening to the lecturer, and he's like, you need a MacBook Pro to do this course. It's gonna cost you 18,000. You need Pro Tools. It's gonna cost you 5,000. And during the break time, obviously, guys naturally gravitate towards each other, and then we're all complaining about, guys, this course is expensive. Like, we need all of these. We need studio monitors. We need da. And this guy was like, don't worry, guys. I have all of this. We can share my stuff. Don't worry, all these softwares I'm gonna give you guys. We're gonna crack them. Don't worry. Obviously I'm not promoting piracy, but basically this guy shared his entire life with us. He shared his skills and everything. He came from a background where his family had invested in a business for him. He had decks, CDJ 2000s back in 2011.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he had VRX, JBL systems, bass bins, everything. He pretty much had a whole entire company with uniform. Now he was just getting the paper. So his dad was like, cool, I'll release the company to you. but the KPIs need to get the paper.
Yeah.
So then he comes and he meets us, and I think his dream was to eventually employ all of us and then move the business from Mossel Bay to Cape Town.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, so cool. He starts to teach all of us. He first gives all of us his music. He's like, cool, here's my hard drive. Pass it around. Everyone copy it onto your thing. This is the music we're going to use to DJ.
That's so dope.
And then, yeah, lessons then obviously after hours. So work first. So at home he had a tractor controller thing. The CDJs were obviously back in Mossel Bay. But he had like this tractor thing. So we started to use this tractor thing to learn how to DJ.
Yeah.
And he obviously taught us all the tricks and the calculations of the BPM, beat matching, pitching, key, and all of these things. And that's when we found that room for DJing. So our process would be help each other on projects so we can finish the work as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then whatever time we had left in the day would be for DJing.
Yeah.
And then obviously weekends, then we'd get together, you know, bring the thing at the braai, DJ for the friends. Yeah.
What year is this?
This is 2012, 2013, 2014, yeah. So that's that time period, yeah.
When you guys were done practicing,
Yeah.
we're done with school now, where was your first live performance, so to call it? Like, where did you play first?
Yes, so, yeah, it's a bit of a sad story because it brings in again this guy I'm talking about. So obviously, me, I was the poppering one, you know,
Yeah.
in the crew. Knew people from, you know, the other schools, hung around it after UCT a lot. And anyway, this group of girls that I was friends with kind of found out that, you know, I'm into DJing. And they had, so like these raises at UCT had like these parties that they used to have once a year. And that year, these girls were in charge of the committee.
Okay.
So they were like, cool, we're booking you and your friends. And I was like, okay, this is the first gig ever.
Yeah.
And I called up Amajita, and so I was like, cool, there's a gig. I think we got paid like 2,500 rand for like 7 guys to share.
Jeez.
They organized the gear, or did we organize? I don't remember, but I remember it was CDJ 350, and this was literally my first gig, and also the last time I spent time with him.
Yeah.
Because then the next day he passed on. But that was literally the first time actually playing to anyone outside the bedroom in the braai.
Yeah.
And it was a res of, you know, about 200 girls, mostly. Like there were literally no guys.
Yeah.
I think UCT was strict like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was the first one. Unfortunately, last one for him. But from there onwards, I knew that because of the gift that he had left me with, I don't have a choice but to continue.
Who's the DJ? What happened?
So he goes by the name of Spare.
Okay.
Spare Mkize. Chup Soup was his DJ name. I don't want to get into the detail, but it was an assault. You know, don't know the people either.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the gents I hung around with that time. Cape Audio were all students. You know, Chup Soup, Svij, Vusi, you know, Tito, Bass. Then I met JQ, Mandy, which are the guys who then formed the Welcome to the Underground Collective.
Yeah.
Which was after the era with Double Chup Soup and Spare.
Okay.
So naturally, when you guys graduate, you kind of, you know, gravitate away from each other because people either move away or go into different life paths. Then I gravitated more towards the JQ Mandy because they were still students, and I think I had like a few more courses to cover anyway.
Yeah.
So I think I had like 6 months extra because of some courses that I needed to pick up.
Yeah.
So I then stayed and got closer with the guys that were a little bit younger than me, and kind of continued the journey in music through them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. From the UCT gig,
Yeah.
now you can play in public, basically.
Yeah.
Your first day in public is done now. What do you move to next?
Yeah, I think the step after that was radio, the internet radio, because at that time Cape Audio started to introduce DJ courses, so they got this partnership with Pioneer. Pioneer donated some gear, and the college built like a studio, online radio station studio in the college. But I think at the time, because there was not a lot of seniors, they looked on past alumni to come through and host shows. And we had a guy, Chad, actually, shout out to Sidechain Chad, who ended up working for Cape Audio.
Okay.
So we had a guy on the inside, and Chad basically facilitated the opportunity. And then that's when I met Boma Shumi, Mikey Weinberg, Kuito, the Atom Crew, those guys. And then we kind of started this movement called Welcome to the Underground. But Welcome to the Underground was actually born from a house party.
Yeah.
So it was like a house party that then became a radio station, that then became like a collective. So then the journey continued through them. Did a lot of house parties at the house in Mowbray. Did a few other ones at the drawing room. I think we had Dawson at the drawing room the one time. And then from there onwards, that was like kind of like the boom of like the OBS vibe, people just partying a lot in OBS. And then from there, I think the journey again kind of takes a pause, because at that time I had then started to focus more on the live stuff. Because now, shit is real. Like, you need to work, you need to earn a salary.
Pay the bills.
Yeah, so I think I then just took the foot off the gas in terms of like the passion projects. And then I just zoned in for, for like the next 5 years up until 2018.
Yeah.
Zoned in into the live sound. And then that was then the start of, at that time I didn't know, but it was the start of like my stint in the eventing side.
Yeah.
So obviously, having done events with Welcome to the Underground, realized that I love this side of the industry as well. And then just focused on the one skill for now, the tech. And then after that I was like, cool, I think maybe events, I could give it a shot.
Yeah. What was your first event?
So, first ever event was Welcome to the Underground. And then we did some other events with some other guys along the way. I used to also assist an event actually that was down the road here. I think it was called, what was it called? Was it called Wordsworth Saying or something like that? It was like a rap poetry thing. Yeah, place called Ragazi.
Yeah.
Used to help them with that event. Like every now and then, help other people with other events as well. But I would say my first event where I could say now we're doing this shit for real was coming up with Slow Cook Sundays, but also an agency called The Link, or movement called The Link, with a bunch of other guys, like-minded guys at a much older stage in my life, say more mature as well, more focused. We kind of gave birth to the concept Slow Cook Sundays. At the time, it was like us and 40 friends on a balcony at Hamilton's. Now it's a business that does 13 to 15 events a year.
Yeah.
A festival as well being one of them. So I'd say Slow Cooked was the first event that I can say now I'm doing events. I know we had our other first Thursday things, but those are a little bit more social. Just come through, come to the restaurant, come have a free drink on us. But Slow Cooked is kind of like, I think, on a more serious level, the first event. Yeah,
I would literally say you're mentioning Slow Cook besides everything else that you've done.
Yeah,
being the event based on you understanding now the full circle of hosting an event in terms of funding, in terms of marketing, and how you strategize around the concept. Please take me through that for just one slow cooked event, in terms of what's the planning like that goes into that?
Yeah, so there's a saying, I don't know which person used it at the Cannes. One of these people was presenting. So I watch a lot of these Cannes talks for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
And it was just off the back of the COVID-19 time period where people obviously were isolating. And it was a quote that said, creativity is a contact sport. So I guess for us, that's like, one of the most important things. We try to stay in touch as much as possible. We meet twice a week. So before a slow cooked happens, there would have been a frequency of 8 to 10 contact scenarios with the other partners.
Yeah.
Each person has their role, naturally, because we have to delegate the work.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have quite a cool, I'd rather say, like partnership, like fluid partnership, in the sense that like there's no boss, like we all equal partners.
Yeah.
But that means we have to also be accountable, because you not doing your work affects the investment.
Yeah.
So yeah, typically how it works is that we would all take charge of our departments. I like the departments that are very operational, so anything from ticketing, the back end of that, making sure that runs smoothly. And then we'll have guys in the team that focus on the finance side of things, and you have guys who focus on the marketing side of things, guys who focus on the design, creative, anything that you see and you touch. And then you have guys who focus on things like the food and the supplier relationship management, the venue, and all of that. So I think it's all about just making sure that the first time actually I met with the guys, our first ever meeting ever, my one question was like, I think let's just talk about each other's strengths and weaknesses for a moment, just so that I know I don't trust you with a task that you can't manage.
Yeah.
So if I know you guy that's passionate about this, we delegate that thing to you. And we've done that well over the years, that so that kind of just typically happens on the over the month. A lot of status updates, also just a lot of freedom to come up with new ideas. We have a structure that we follow from every single aspect of the event, but there's also opportunity to pitch, like if there's a cool idea, or if there's someone we'd like to book that you saw, because sometimes you'd be out and you see someone play, you're like, quickly get on the group, you send videos to the guys, and like, Jets, like this set was amazing.
Yeah.
To get this guy.
Yeah.
Who
are your partners in Slow Cooked?
So Slow Cooked initially was six of us.
Okay.
So now it's 5. Guy goes by the name of Black Congo, which I'm sure you guys would know from the music industry.
Yeah.
Amazing DJ. Then there's a guy called Keith Virgo. Great creative, amazing with his hands, amazing with his digital design skills as well, drawing, amazing with photography, which is what he does for us as well. So any pictures that you see. Then you have a guy called Kofi. We always joke and call him Coach, because that's kind of like a role that he loves to assume. He professionally coaches sport as well. He's a rugby coach, so he loves to kind of make sure that we have that team mentality quite strongly. And then we have James. James is affectionately known as like the pizza connoisseur.
Okay.
He owns Pizza Shed brand. Has a very strong background in restauranting and that kind of thing, and also someone who's really strong at, I don't know, kind of just building things yourself. Some of the furniture in his restaurant he makes it himself. Those kind of things. So those are the guys that
Is this
behind.
the
brand.
pizza shed that has a branch in Somerset West?
No, so they have Bree Street and then St. James and then Obbs.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh yeah, okay, yeah. I see the one in St. James.
yeah, just on the
On the road,
on the
yeah.
road, yeah.
Jesus, you've got a solid team here.
Very very solid team of guys. Very great minds also.
Yeah,
Intelligent. Also nice to learn from them because I think James and I are the youngest people in the crew. I think James is like a year behind me, and then the other three gents are like much older. I think 3, 4, 5 years older than me. So it's a cool way to kind of have that good balance in terms of age group.
yeah,
Also, their personalities are completely different from mine. I'm more like high energy, go out. Some of them are a little bit more on the calmer side. So it brings up that good balance within the team.
yeah.
Also, it's nice to have freedom of speech around them and be able to debate with them as well.
Yeah, and share ideas and build. What
Yeah.
what you guys have built is truly amazing, by the way.
No, shout out.
I look at your. It was the first time I've ever seen a post like yours. Your
Yeah.
poster on social media is people dancing, and
Yeah.
then the wording is in front.
Overlaid text, yeah.
That thing is an attention grabber at
Yeah.
any given space.
Yeah.
Anytime you look, I'm like, how do these guys get this right? I must ask Smoolana how
Yeah.
they got this right. This is a perfect poster for anything.
Yeah.
Up to so far, I haven't seen anybody use that.
Yeah.
I think there was a jazz gig I saw in Joburg that
Yeah,
did something
that
similar
tried
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting because obviously in the social media world now, copyrights, usages, things with music, overlaying music on videos, we know that's that world, right?
Yeah.
So we actually use the in-feed like sound that's happening at the event at that time. God forbid someone says something rogue one day, but we've never had that. But I
Yeah.
think for us, we were not actually paying attention, but it was around the time where Instagram was starting to. I mean, firstly, let me say like Slow Cooked is an Instagram heavy driven marketed event. We have other channels, we have TikTok, we have our website, and then we do email marketing and all the other touch points. But I think Instagram is where most, like majority of our traffic comes from, right? So at the time, Instagram is obviously transitioning from this aesthetic photograph platform to like video, and we started to realize in our analytics that the statics are not performing as well as the videos.
Yeah.
So then it became natural. But I mean, what I'm telling you is not a secret. It's the algorithm today.
Yeah.
And, most creatives and creators should start moving more towards that direction.
Yeah.
Because that's what the algorithm is prioritizing now. I mean, God forbid they change it again, but like, it's evolving. So
Yeah.
we were lucky to position ourselves in that period where reels were starting to become a big thing. Then we just chose, cool, this is the route that we want to do. Also, I think it allows for people to also see the vibe.
Yeah.
To see what they're buying into.
Yeah.
It's very hard to buy into a poster with a cool design and a location and a price, but if you see people moving, shaking, then you buy into it quite easily.
Yeah, but also I'd give it up to the guy who takes pictures for you guys. Now he captures.
Keith. Shout out to Keith.
He. I've never been one to understand when they say, "This is what was captured in a picture," but with his pictures, I can literally see the vibe. And whenever you're sitting and looking at the pictures, you'd be like, "This is a must-go-to event." It's really captured correctly.
Yeah,
if there's such, but it's captured with the essence of the vibe at that stage.
Yeah.
It hits you.
Definitely from day one, like if you look at some of our, I mean, we've archived most of it now, but it was up there for a while. Some of the older content from like our pilot episodes, and Keith has always had a good eye for photography. Like his eye is fantastic behind the lens. Even on his own personal projects, like if you go on his profile and you check him out, just as outside Slow Cooked, you begin to understand, the brain behind it. So we were fortunate that he was positioned in a place where he becomes part of the team, because it would suck to have him play for another team. But yeah, no, he's done wonders, to help people visualize the brand.
Yeah. I've never seen DJ lineups from your event.
Yeah,
I've never seen. So literally everything is about slow cooked.
yeah,
And it makes you wonder, what are you guys slow cooking? But
yeah. We get this question a lot.
But I can tell you right now,
yeah.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Since I've seen it and I've experienced it from being dragged into it via your Instagram or your
Yeah.
social out there-ness.
Yeah,
I get why it's called slow
Yeah.
cooked. That thing there is Smoolana. I've been trying to analyze your business for a minute now, because
Yeah.
I find that your model is very dope.
yeah,
Your guys' model is very, very dope. It just came in, bam, and it kind of took over a lot of the idea spaces that certain events were doing, right? It took it over, and it's like, I'm here, and what you gonna do? Where is the next step for this? Like you spoke about a festival earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is the next step for us. I think we've done a good job at building slow cooked. There's something that is like a oiled engine that just needs servicing, and making sure that the right team, is still behind it and doing the right thing. The next big thing for us to figure out is the outdoor space. So it's something we've been dreaming about from a long time. From my side, even longer, because I worked in that space as a technician.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure to work at some really amazing festivals, behind the scenes, running the PA systems on different floors. So for me, like, it was always like a goal that I had in mind, but now to have it with my team, and last year being our first one, just to have that achievement of like, cool, we've done it. Now it's to figure out how to grow it into a community, which is something I say a lot to the guys, that all of the festivals I've attended, whether it's Africa Burn, or whether it's Rockin' the Daisies, or whatever the case may be, festivals need a community behind it. Like, it almost needs a village of people that kind of contribute to the culture of the festival and make it what it is. The other people will buy into it, as long as it's got that core base of, like, if you think about a Wee House festival, there's those guys that, like, you're gonna see that guy at the Wee House festival, come rain or sunshine, and that for us is the challenge right now that we're trying to get into, and also just making it more accessible for people, which is why we always keep in mind how far we go out. We'd love to go as far as Solendam, like some of the festivals I've worked on, like Search, but again, in our community, people are still new to that lifestyle, camping, going outside to listen to music. A lot of my friends are like, are the showers there? Where am I gonna, is the hotel? Those are the kind of people in the spaces that we're in right now. So we're trying to educate them that, going outdoor to listen to music is a whole other immersive experience that also allows you to listen to music in an amplified space, and not this dark room with the air conditioner, But yeah, I think that's kind of like our next big thing, is to grow Days in the Sun festival to kind of just be this, community festival that people, buy into. I think our target is to obviously have the thousands and thousands, but more than that is to just like start introducing people of color to like festival spaces, like getting them more hungry to go out. And I'd say the other second thing, which is more of a personal goal for me, is to, just try and understand and see what we can do as promoters to change the culture of ticket buying in Cape Town, because that's one of the things that's impacting us strongly as an industry, and something that I've seen signals from being behind the scenes on these projects, that people in Cape Town don't commit early to buying into tickets, and that affects the potential that we can then bring as the promoter. It affects which artists we end up choosing to go for. So that's like, I think that's a personal one for me, but then for the team, I think it's to just grow Days in the Sun.
Yeah. So you held your first one last year?
Held our first one last year.
What are the finances looking like versus returns?
Damn. I'm not gonna say the numbers, but yeah, man, just anything that you have in mind, just lower your expectations by like 80 to 70%.
That much?
Yeah.
In terms of return now?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Because it just like it's crazy. Like, I mean, if you think about production alone, just the structures, because the thing is with festivals is that you need to erect a lot of things, you know. Just think from a structural perspective, just white picket fencing, something random like that.
Yeah.
Or t-shirts for the staff, because now you're not working with like the 10 staff at the small event, there's 50.
Small. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very expensive game, I'm not gonna lie. But we went into this knowing that
it's gonna cost.
We spoke to a few guys. I remember speaking to Leighton Moody about it actually as well, and he was like, yeah dude, it's like that. Yeah, the first one you make, you lose all of it and more. You lose all of it and more, and then the main thing is just taking the the novelty and the community, that feeling that was created in that first one, reinvesting back into that. Obviously the other challenging thing with your first one is you don't have content, so there's not much you can show. In terms of images and videos, like you can design little cool graphic things, but you don't have after movies or whatever. And also sponsorship, very hard to get on your first one, because most of them are gonna say cool, do it, and then come back and ask me for money next year. Or even if they do give you, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I know you're asking for, but realistically we're seeing you there. So the first one, I'd say just rather, I guess, walk away with the feeling of like it was successful and people enjoyed it. Don't look at the numbers. You have to look at the numbers because you need to know how to project for the next year. But it's a different game.
I know definitely that's one thing that would sway somebody else from doing the next one. In your guys' case, has it given you more of that, let's go for it?
100%. Because we already went into it knowing that we're gonna lose money. I think for us the most important thing was to start, which is what I always say to people who ask me about advice for anything. I'm like, dude, just start. Like, I promise you, start right now. Like, I remember my girlfriend was also a joke when she wanted to my ex-girlfriend, she wanted to DJ, and I just took the decks and I put them in the kitchen and I said,
go for
start it. And soon after that she got some gigs. So, and same with the guy that I DJ now, Swiso, does the same thing. Like, dude, just like, let's play back to back, just do what I do, And now we just did a party in Joburg 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
So I think that was just the thing for us. Start, and then look at the numbers, analyze. You have to do a post-mortem, because that's where you start to see like where you can do better. So going live this year, we had a lot of lessons learned from last year, and the decision was unanimous, and luckily we managed to recover financially, to be able to not only continue Days in the Sun, but to also continue Slow Cooked, because obviously the businesses are from the same umbrella. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I got about a bunch of questions now.
Yeah.
One of them would be, why call it Days in the Sun and not Slow Cooked? So as it keeps the same
the
model.
same thing.
Yeah.
So initially, I mean, when we started Slow Cooked Sundays, which is probably one of the big lessons that I learned, like, if you're gonna pin an event on something, you better like either really go head on that thing, or have a plan B of when you wanna grow it to something else. Take for example, We House Sundays. They pinned it to house music, right?
Yeah.
And for them, that is now the mantra of what they do.
Yeah.
They cannot go have a R&B whatever. You know, let's say even if it was in the wishes somewhere, I don't know, maybe David has like a R&B wish list, God forbid. But one of those lessons, like pinning it into like a Sunday event, like we can't do it on any other day.
Yeah.
Like, We House Sundays can't happen on a Monday. It can if like the calendar happens to allow it, but then for us it then gave us the challenge to either to call it Slow Cooked Festival or start a new brand, but then also figure out what do we want to call the company.
Yeah.
So obviously Slow Cooked has the credibility and already has the history, and people know it, they trust it, they buy into it.
Yeah.
But then we were just obsessed with this like Days in the Sun theme and like the concept behind the name, that we decided to challenge ourselves and start from the ground up again.
Yeah.
And I guess it's us also seeing like how capable we are to build a brand leveraging on Slow Cook Sundays, but you know, starting from a clean slate, a new name, new movement. We then separated the company side of things to Slow Cooked Events.
Yeah.
So Slow Cooked Events is the company name, and then under that umbrella we then have Slow Cooked Sundays, and then we have
Days in the
Sun. Yeah.
Have you decided on the venue for this year?
We have. So luckily I can talk about it because the tickets are out.
Okay.
So we went back to the Ostrich. Unanimous decision again. Cape Town doesn't have a lot of spaces, and especially more so outdoor spaces.
Yeah.
And also people don't like to drive far. It has to be within Uber distance. The cool thing with Ostrich as well, compared to other venues, is that it's got a few of the facilities already in place.
Yeah.
Which makes, you know, the build of the festival a little bit more bearable.
Yeah.
So we're going back to the Ostrich 2nd of November. Tickets are live. We currently have general tickets at 200 Rand at the moment, which is, I mean, for a festival ticket, that's a very, very, very low price point, I think. And that was intentionally done in mind, the fact that we want to include as many people as possible. I'm not saying that ticket is going to be available forever, but we're starting from 200 Rand general access. VIP, I think it's like 450. I might be wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure I'll share like the link that you guys can find on the recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're at the moment.
Just to throw a couple of questions on that. This is a single person ticket or 2-man ticket?
Single person.
Single person will be 200 general, and then for
VIP.
Well, we're not confirming VIP,
Yeah.
but the price is for a single
I think
person.
it was, I can't remember, but in my head.
What's the offer on the VIP?
So if anyone's been to the Ostrich, you'll know that the VIP section is obviously cordoned off from the general public area.
Yeah.
You have separate ablutions as well, separate bar, and then depending on how far you go, if you take table service, which you do have, tables available, then you get dedicated waiter that then obviously takes care of you guys for the day.
Yeah.
Also, the cool thing with the size of the VIP space, you can split the space up between like reserved and unreserved seating. So obviously reserved is going to cost you more. Then unreserved seating would just be your general ticket.
Yeah.
But now you have to either bet on getting there on time to find space that's unreserved for seating. And then, compared to someone who's actually bought a table that they didn't show up whatever time they want to get
Yeah.
there.
3-day or 2-day event?
one day for us, but I'm more of a 3-day event guy
Yeah.
from a personal approach. But for us at the moment,
It's going
one
to
day,
it's a one day.
one day is our commitment.
No camping, so it's just in fun.
No camping,
We all
in
go
out, afternoon, out by the evening.
Okay. No. It perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Why slow cook Sunday again? Because I'm going to miss this question. I wanted to ask it earlier on.
Why the name Slow Cook?
Why slow cook?
I actually don't know. I really wish I knew. I remember the answer to this because I think also around the time I don't say I was against slow cooked, but I was against the fact that it was at a rugby club. Because if you know Hamilton's, anyone from Cape Town knows Hamilton's rugby club. It's an old heritage rugby club. I think it's the oldest rugby club in the country historically. So there's a lot of heritage in the space, and like all these pictures of like sports people that I don't even know, and blazers on the walls, and it's got like that sports bar, rugby sports bar feeling.
Yeah.
So I never really like bought into the concept because of that. But I liked the name. Like, I don't know, and I don't actually know the true answer, the true origin of the name. But the name I accepted. I just didn't like the space. But then I fell in love with both of them. Like as soon as I got into the space and just started to see the vibe that we were building, then I was like, actually, let's slow cook this Sunday.
Yeah. No, it's literally a dope name. It can be. The event itself. It's you slow cook to the peak of the event. By the time you leave, you literally have been slow cooking.
Yeah.
It's dope. It's dope. Initially, when you came into the game, a lot of us knew you as Zips.
Yeah.
Right. Why did you choose to rebrand to Smoolana?
Yeah. So. Smoolana, so I come from like that background where people like to be mysterious or creative or like have all these different cool names. I mean, if you remember like Mix It, like I always ask people like, what was your Mix It name?
Yeah.
Like, you know. So we always had all these different personas, personalities, aliases, as we so call them, or AKAs. So Smoolana was like that nickname I hated. I got it from the guys in high school. The origin of it comes from my interest in like virtual DJ, because high school, I think that's where the seed was a little bit, was that virtual DJ era where like you just click, bounce, click. And then it was also the time where like Young Money, Cash Money Records was like a big thing. Lil Wayne, we used to listen to a lot of Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
So the joke started as like Sibs Money, and then they dropped the B and the Z, and they combined it with the C Money. Then they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. Then they changed Money to Moolah. Then it was Smoola, and then it evolved eventually. But it was like that nickname that your friends tease you with, and you just like, I fucking hate this name.
Yeah.
But anyway, it ended up being cool. Bought into it. I always say to people, your DJ name you get given, you don't choose it.
Yeah.
So cool. I ended up adopting it as my online personality. So it was my Xbox Live username. It was my Instagram when I created my Instagram. So it just became my like online persona, was my Mix It name.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was my digital ID, so to say. And then over the years I just kept it. Then going into the professional space where you start to work, you realize that employees crawl on your pages and they look for you online. So I decided to then keep it because, you know, then I had a different identity online to in real life. And then now the personality and the artist gets, you know, bigger, and those channels start demanding, or I guess those channels start needing me to push myself through them.
Yeah.
But then now I'm pushing Sibs, but then the actual profile name is Smoolana. So now people are trying to find like where do these two meet. Then I just got some advice from, you know, a close friend of mine who's right now I guess is trying to tap into the space of artist management. So he's using me as kind of like a case study. He was like, cool, we need to focus on one guy, so we need to drop one. You need to decide. I ran a poll on Instagram because my mind was like,
I don't know which one to drop.
I ran a poll just to kind of see. I mean, this it started on Instagram, so it made sense to do it there, and it was equal. I had about 100 responses on that thing, and 50-50 split. So the decision was now down to me,
you, yeah.
you know. And I just felt like, I don't know, there's a lot of Sibs in the world.
Yeah.
There's a Sibs on KFM. And there's another DJ Sibs already who's doing great things in Joburg. So I felt like I needed to own an identity that no one else has.
Yeah.
That is also uniquely me. That was given to me also. So then that decision then came about that we need to drop Sibs and focus on building the Smoolana brand. And I tested it with a few people and it seemed to roll nicely off the tongue. People like it. So, and anyway, a lot of people who don't know me in real life, who met me online or see me online, call me Smoolana.
Yeah.
So it became natural that, even the people that I haven't yet met, that's probably what they would call me because they found me online that way.
Yeah. You at some stage you dabbled in campus radio.
Yeah.
Let's call it that. But you were never like literally into that.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered going on radio in Cape Town?
No. I think for me radio is like I like to consume it in the car when I'm driving around.
What do you listen to?
But I'm a metro guy.
Okay.
Yeah, full on metro. So breakfast show when I'm going in. I actually finally just discovered this app the other day called Radio Garden. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Basically an app where you can listen to a radio station anywhere in the world, and it literally has a map.
Yeah.
And you can see all the little stations on there. So I've my partner is someone who's into radio a lot. She does voiceovers as well, so she's always on radio herself.
Yeah.
So she listens to radio religiously. I'm not really I like to control the music. So I never ever thought of getting into radio in Cape Town. I also find the stations this side, I don't know, a little bit more out of my demographic because Metro is more of a Joburg-based radio station. But internet radio was fun because it was unrestricted. We had no bills to pay. We had no advertising. It was just a bunch of us bantering, talking to DJs. That's how I met the likes of Dawson, Pierre Johnson, a few of the cats in the scene now was, internet radio.
You know I'm throwing the radio question at you. We had, Michael, that open channels on Good Hope FM for a lot of cats to play music, and literally we had a radio station where house cats or music listeners and music lovers who listen to alternative stuff would actually filter into. And we had Freedom Flex and Sivem Solo on Bush Radio, and I can't even name more DJs that literally sat on radio while I've been here in Cape Town and listening to radio. So it becomes very difficult to listen to any station that's in Cape Town. I don't know any radio DJs here in Cape Town that literally play on any of the radio stations. There's no show that is broadcasted and we follow religiously as people who listen to, let me say, alternative to what is being played to radio. You don't hear current house, local producers or South African producers that make anything besides piano on radio. So those are the only people that you'll literally find. And I kind of find it very weird. The other day when I asked it from somebody in Joburg, they said, who amongst the circle is on radio that then can change that conversation for you guys, in Cape Town, for the producers, for the event hosters? Because here in Joburg you go Radio 2000. They're discussing something like yesterday they had Ringo Madlengozi and they
Yeah.
had a 2-hour listening session with him,
Yeah.
which was very interesting for me. But we've got artists here in Cape Town that could do those things on Good Hope, on KFM, on any other radio station. So I've been asking people I interview about this to say, is there any impact towards your business? Is there any impact towards your listening? Is there any impact of not having your type of sound on radio that says, I don't have to
Yeah.
listen to radio?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, like right now in my current professional space, I'm in marketing, right?
Yeah.
So I work for agency. So we use radio a lot as a channel to advertise, and I mean till today, like even with YouTube is getting close, but even with the amount of social media and involvement of online today, radio still has the most reach. Radio has the potential to reach like 94% of the people in the country.
Yeah.
And I think it would be beneficial to our industry and to anyone to have radio there as an option. I think it's a challenge because I guess frequency also is a challenge to reach. I mean, at some point I couldn't even get UCT radio in Woodstock because I did an interview with UCT radio a few years back, and I wanted to listen back to it, and it was like a struggle. So I think because of just like how hard it is to get into like radio. I mean, our phones nowadays don't have radio on them as a native thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I found this app called Radio Garden, and I was like mind blown that I could just like search any station. Like I could listen to Gagasi FM right now.
Yeah.
This is a station I hear about, but I can't reach it in frequency where I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be cool for the culture to have, you know, maybe not, it doesn't have to be radio, but like kind of just that cultural, you know, aspect that, you know, allows people like myself and other creatives to have a platform where they can come showcase their work,
Yeah,
or talk
man.
about their business, or I guess this is what a platform like yours does very well, and it's kind of bridging that gap, but it will never have that same reach as radio,
Yeah.
because radio's frequency, and it's you know.
Yeah. Well, when I decided we were going to do this, I was
Yeah.
watching The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne, DJ MV, and I was like, this is so cool, it's not even funny. More so, I'm getting to engage with artists' background and how they started and how they're going in the industry and what's new, you know, what's coming up
Yeah.
via me watching this video. I don't even get to hear the music that plays, but
Yeah.
this is very interesting. Why haven't South African radios done this?
Yeah.
Why haven't they flown towards this route of
Yeah.
engaging with the viewer, the listeners,
Yeah.
basically? And yeah, but also now it's bringing me back to the question that we don't have any platforms here in Cape Town where
Yeah.
our artists can showcase, our artists can, like, there's a
Yeah.
very huge difference between a producer and
Yeah.
a DJ.
Look, like for example, I know, sorry to cut you, but I know like there was a time 5FM had that spotlight thing on like DJs, but again, I think that's just it's beneficial for 5FM and not for the industry.
Yeah.
You know, because I guess for them they were trying to find the next best DJ, and also coin the fact that they found that person and that person won the competition through the DJ what. But it's again, it's not for the culture. It's not for giving back to people. The purpose behind it wasn't to grow the industry. You know, it was to just find that golden nugget that they could then coin.
Yeah.
I think Welcome to the Underground for us, we tried that, but again, internet radio is so expensive. I mean, if you look at two stations in mind that I was also actively contributing towards, Hamshack Radio,
Yeah.
the other radio as well, those two platforms, and how they didn't manage to stand the test of time because of just how expensive the streaming licenses were. And also, like, the other thing with Cape Town, actually, discussion I had with someone when I was in Joburg 2 weeks ago, is that a lot of us business people don't own property.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find like that place where I can then host this idea. I'm always renting, and then rent becomes expensive. The landlord pushes me out. That's the same story that ended the other radio. Now it's a luxury apartment thing. Ham shack as well. Just became too expensive for the guys to continue the project. So funding, and these are the things that radio can help with, because someone could be listening to this conversation and they are able to help. So I think that's where radio could really help the industries, help the people that need to connect on that thing to grow it,
to elevate the whole entire thing. Because I can literally, I stand corrected on this one. You can tell a huge difference between events that are hosted in town and any event that would be hosted, let's say, Kailij. You can tell which events are prominent in town, which events are prominent that side. You even know which spaces to go to. And I've found that in spaces like Kailij, Cooks, there's more events happening, but they're literally not part of the limelight, because conversations like these ones of what it takes to host a slow cook are not being had. They're not on open channel where you can literally listen to or get in touch and understand. And there's just where do we catch? I don't want to close this interview because I got a lot in my head, but obviously time is of
you can always have a part 2 at some point.
Definitely we will. Where do we catch you? I know the next Slow Cooked is on
it's actually this weekend. Freedom Day.
Ish. Unfortunately, this is going to come out most probably after the event. Where else do we catch you?
So,
before I close this off, dude, you've played a bunch of festivals, a bunch of great festivals. How was that for you? Like, how is the from playing at the UCT event to actually standing on a Africa Burn stage and looking at that many people and just throwing a set?
So I think for me also, just having the background in the industry and knowing not only the value but the magnitude of those sound systems, I think for me, like, it's probably one of those things that if I had to die tomorrow, I would have achieved one of those things where it was on my bucket list, to play on a big stage, to build a big stage. So that completely for me just changed my perspective of what is possible. That sometimes what is meant for you will come to you, and if you put your mind to it. So that for me, honestly, I can't describe the feeling, like having amplified sound like that, and people in front of you, endless amount of people. I think I don't know I can put a description to it. And I hope that any budding artist out there gets to experience playing on a big stage one day. Halfway there, because we have to touch the international stage, God willing. But to experience it at home, amongst your friends also. Wow, there's this clip on my Instagram. I'm playing back to back with Black Congo. Shout out to the person that captured that thing, by the way, because I think I was just too invested in the building of the project that when that moment happened, because anyone who knows Black Congo, planner of note, he was on my case about the set, and I was just kind of lax upon it. And we were chilling at the Airbnb, and I think Black Coffee just did that mashup of Finally, and this thing had us kind of obsessed, and we're like, nah, let's throw it in the set, so we put it on the set list. And one of my visions for building a stage for Days in the Sun was to have a backstage area where people could come, and there was this time we dropped in this Finally mashup with Rapture Part 3, and this person just captured that moment where the beat builds up, and then it goes into this bridge, and it drops, and then the lights just experience. Where every time I look at that video, I'm like, yeah, this was the whole point.
Yeah.
This was the whole point.
And I'm definitely the person taking that video experienced that event more than you would have.
Yeah.
More than you did. I've noticed you miss out if you're not in the crowd.
No, you literally miss out.
You miss out. you miss out.
So getting that POV was like, oh my God.
Yes. I can imagine only. I can
Yeah.
imagine. What other international stages are you looking at?
Oof. I would say a club somewhere in Berlin,
Okay.
number one, and then Burning Man, either the one in America or Amsterdam, in the Dutch area. I think it's there. I'm not sure, either Belgium. But yeah, in general, just any opportunity overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah, would probably be.
Who's your agent again?
So at the moment, there's a friend of mine who's starting his kind of vibe in artist talent management. He works under a company, but I don't want to officially say because there's no contractual agreement. Like, it's still a pilot project.
Okay.
But McFarren is a friend of mine. We've been friends for like many years, best friends. So I think he's trying to see if he's got the potential to do it. So I've kind of given myself as the pilot project towards his ambition.
Okay.
I've never really been approached, or I've always been independently managed by myself. I've never been approached by any management company previously. I know of a few around Cape Town, but yeah, never approached because sometimes maybe I'm the one who needs to make the approach.
Okay.
So before then I was independent. So now he's assisting a little bit with the brand that we started called Good Things Africa. So Good Things Africa is like kind of my new passion project, my new little baby. A smaller forum than Days in the Sun and Slow Cook Sundays.
Okay.
In terms of partnership. So he's helping us manage that. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you're planning a festival in Ghana somewhere.
Hey, we would love to do Ghana. I think Ghana is actually right up there on one of our first to go to out of country destinations.
Yeah.
I mean, with Kofi and Brandon being from being Ghanaian,
Yeah.
kind of makes sense being from Ghana.
Yeah.
Natively. So I think for them it's also like a homecoming situation.
Yeah. That would be very dope. Hope to see you very, very soon. In fact, I should see you before the festival. You never gave me the festival dates.
So Days in the Sun, 2nd of November,
Okay.
2025, at the Ostrich. Should be kicking things off. I think doors will open probably around like 12, but music will start at 2 kind of vibe. I can't say who we have on the lineup because we're still working on those.
Okay.
Finalizing those. But yeah, we always aim to try and bring in the best that we can. So yeah, buy tickets. The more tickets you guys buy, the bigger the possibilities of our bucket list who we can attain.
I generally then I'm going to set up an appointment with you for first week of September.
Yeah.
Because we're very close, then we should get a lineup by then to say
100%.
what's happening, and then maybe you can give us an update on the sales.
No, definitely.
People must go buy tickets now. They're still cheap.
Dude, by
200
September
bucks.
they're not gonna be 200.
No,
It's not even that much. Yeah.
My dog, thank you very much for giving me your time today. I really appreciate it, and I picked up a lot today. It brings more questions into certain conversations.
Yeah.
And I wish you good fortune in everything you do, and just know that Analogue Culture is rooting for you guys as a brand and as a business. And literally, I have to say, I love all your sets. You literally, you surprise me in most of them. Because when I expect this, you give this. When I expect this, you give this. So you're never predictable, and it just makes more of let's go listen.
Yeah.
Might learn something new. Yeah.
Well, shout out for that. Thank you for having me on the show also. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to also, like, I guess, this is always part of my dream as well, to start having the conversations around my journey. You know, hopefully that it inspires someone else who found themselves in the same position as I was in.
Yeah.
So yeah, keen to do more of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for anyone who's looking to come listen to these sets, we at Gypsy Rabbit on Bree Street every Saturday. Every Friday.
Every Friday.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we have ongoing at the moment.
Okay.
So it's an after work vibe. It's actually called the After Work Soiree.
Okay.
It's all about knocking off after work, after a stressful week, debriefing with the gents or the homies, making plans for the weekend. Yeah, that's kind of like the vibe that we're pushing.
Yeah, that's dope. Thank you very much, sir, and to enjoy the evening. To the watchers and the listeners, this is DJ Ndo-C signing out with Smoolana. Please follow him on Instagram, Smoolana. In fact, on every channel is Smoolana. And do go see their show at Slow Cook Sunday. Buy tickets for the fest. And like you said, you catch them out at Gypsy Rabbits. This is DJ Ndo-C for Analogue Culture, #PA. Woo!